Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Nomas podcast. If you guys are a returning guest to the podcast, we are trying something completely new. If you guys do have us on social media, on Instagram in specific, I showed that I mounted one of the cameras to the wall, and now I have a third camera on this side, and Chilo's camera, obviously. Say hi to the camera, Chilo. So say hey,
Hi.
guys. So we're trying something new. Hopefully you guys like the setup. If you're a returning guest to the podcast, let us know what you guys think of the setup. What I like about this side, having the camera this side, is that I can put, let's say if it's Halloween, which this episode is going to be based on Halloween, that I can put different things on the back and you guys can see it or whatever, so I can set the mood, right? What do you think, babe?
I like it. Now you need Halloween stuff though.
Yeah, that'll be dope. That way we can decorate for different holidays.
Put some of the Halloween decorations over here instead of putting them in the living room.
Yeah. All right, babe. All right. Are you ready? What do you want to start with?
I don't know if you want to jump into the scary stories or if you want to start talking about all the people on social media lately just freaking going in.
Okay, let's start with that. I'm gonna hit the intro. I'm gonna supposedly hit the intro right now, which is Halloween intro, and fuck it, I'll hit the original one, but in post production, you guys are gonna hear the Halloween intro.
Okay.
Hoy Nomas Podcast. Halloween Special. Especial de Halloween.
All right, babe. So, how's your experience getting bullied online?
Dude, I don't think I've ever I'm fucking say like 100 times right now.
Yeah, so for the people that don't know, I posted just a random post of an old episode that I had from Chelo, but in my mind, I always wanted to post it. It was of Chelo talking of her ayahuasca experience, but when she talked about aliens, right? And for me, it was an insane post, right? Because it's insane that you actually got to talk to aliens and what they told you, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to post it and share it. Next thing you know, I was just like, a couple views. But then it freaking takes off, right? I think right now it's up to, I don't know, I think it was like 20,000.
I don't know, but it did numbers.
Yeah, it did numbers, but Chelo was getting bullied.
Dude, I was fucking getting dragged. I don't think I've ever... I mean, I've gotten bullied, but I've never... It had never been to that point.
Yeah.
But, I mean... How can I say it? And now I'm now I'm more conscious of me saying the word because that's what they were freaking dragging me for in the first place.
Yeah.
But, oh my gosh, those fucking comments were crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, they were pretty much telling Chelo that...
Fucking hot Cheeto girl, this and that.
Chelo was that like ultimate chick, type of vibes. Like the whatever, like that type of chick, like that type of girl, right? And yeah, I saw the comments. It got to a point, right, that I kind of wanted to remove the post because I experienced the whole bullying
with the Marisco
episode. That one's like a 200,000, and up to this point, I'm still receiving messages and comments like, "Oh, this guy's this guy's that." There is people that are defending me still, like going back. They're pretty much going back and forth with it, right? But now, when I first received those comments, I felt those comments that, like, I really, really felt it, right? Now I see the comments, even though they're negative, I'm like, man, I just heard this like over 100 freaking times. Same thing. So now it doesn't really affect me, right? How's your experience now?
Well, I feel for me, at the beginning, I never really saw the comments. It was more you just posted and I saw you posting it and I liked it and I shared it. And then I just called it a day. And then next thing you know, Angel's telling me, oh, your post is taking off on TikTok. I think it was TikTok or Instagram.
Instagram, I think.
I don't know. It was one of those two.
I think both, to be
honest. Or both. I think I read the I read the Instagram ones. And oh my God, it was at night. And I was like scrolling through TikTok and I got curious and I said, well, let me freaking look at the comments because you told me like, oh, they're fucking dragging you on the comments. So I go on there and I'm like reading I think at that point it was 30 to 40 comments, but out of all of those, there was just probably one good one or two good ones. But everybody was just literally fucking talking shit. And I was just scrolling through them and I was reading them. And I was like, "Ay, este pinche gente pendeja." And I was just like, kept reading them. And at one point I was like, damn, like, what the fuck's wrong with people? But I mean, at the end of the day, I really don't fucking care. Like, they can keep talking shit.
But did it affect you, though, at first?
I did feel some type of way, but not like I was going to fucking sit there and fucking cry about it.
Yeah. And that's what I was kind of scared of, right? I was thinking, like, man, you seeing so many bad comments. I was wondering how you were going to take it, whether you were going to want to even continue doing the podcast or not. But I was like, man, I wanted to respond to some of the comments because I'm like, what the fuck? Don't talk about Chelo. But at the same time, it's just, it comes with it, right?
Yeah.
It's us coming here and having this platform that a lot of people wish they had, or a lot of people just don't have anything else better to do or have the voice to be able to express themselves. So the only thing they have is the comment section.
Exactly. But there just goes to show that, I mean, I had to say something, I mean, other than the word like or whatever. There's something that they felt some type of way that they had to go on that post and like hella talk shit about somebody.
Yeah.
And to me, I've seen like when they drag other people on social media, I go on the comments and I read them. But I don't know, dude. I feel like you have to be some other type of person to be there and fucking dragging people on the fucking comments. Like, you really don't have other shit to do.
That one turned off, huh?
Yeah, it did.
What the fuck?
Hold on, do you want me to pause?
Sorry, one of the cameras died, so we're still trying to figure out the third camera. This third camera might not work after all, but yeah. So what is it?
But anyways, what I was saying, obviously, like, I don't think me or you've ever gotten that much, like you with the mariscos and me like with that freaking post, like we've never gotten that much hate. But at the end of the day, and that's what something I felt like I was gonna tell you this and then I totally forgot. I don't want you to be like there in the fucking comments going back and forth with other dumbest people, porque that's just like a waste of time. Like, I don't like it's just a waste of time, and I don't want you to be doing that. Like, as long as like but you know who I am and I know who you are, and as long as we both know that, like, let the fucking people in los pinches comments go at it.
Yeah, of course.
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't think I responded to any of them, right? Especially to any of the negative ones. I responded to the people that were supporting or that they were saying things that I understood, right? So like, oh, facts, or I was like, hey, appreciate it, or I forgot what I was replying.
Yeah.
But I was only acknowledging the good comments. All the bad comments, why respond to the bad comments and not the good comments, right? I'm going to give attention to the people that are actually supporting. All the trolls, all the people out there that are just saying and spreading negativity, why even give them the time and day? So, all right, babe. So for this episode, eventually for the month of October, what I'm trying to do is having guests kind of share. Not too sure if I'm gonna be having full on paranormal podcast, because it's very, very hard to find people with stories, at least that people that I know of, right? I've kind of shared it through Instagram, or I think it was only through Instagram, that if people had stories to let me know so I can bring them onto the podcast. But not a lot of people actually shared it, or not a lot of people wanted to actually share this story. So it's kind of hard to find people like that. But at the same time, Chelo and I, when we first started this podcast, we had a guest that she was able to communicate with ghosts, right? It's still, I think it's like the third episode that I had, and we had an experience that she told us, hey, you know what, if before we do the podcast, if you guys experience this, or if you guys are feeling a certain way, let me know so I can help you guys out with these experiences that you guys are feeling. And after that, Chelo was the type of girl that she used to watch a lot of scary stories, listen to podcasts of scary stories, right?
Yeah.
And after that, she pretty much stayed away.
Okay, so let's go into that. So let's start off by like me watching all of that, and then why I stopped, and then why I continued, and then how all of that led
Let's do
to
it.
that paranormal stuff. Okay, so back in the day when I used to live at my mom's, I don't know, I was like 18, I was still in high school. I've always liked watching paranormal stuff like The Conjuring, The Nun, todas esas películas. Up until that point, I always liked watching all that stuff. But there was a time frame where I don't know if it's ever happened to you, donde dicen que te sube el muerto.
Yeah.
Has it happened to you?
No.
Oh, dude, if it's like one of the worst feelings, like you don't want to feel that. And there was this time frame. I think I might have been 18 or 19, but I know I was still living at my mom's. And it was this 1 week where literally every freaking night it would happen. I would go to sleep and I would wake up. I feel like if you've never, si nunca te ha pasado, es como si sintieras que alguien se te sienta en el pecho. You can look around, but you can't move. So it's se te desespera. So I had that like happen for about it was like almost every day for a week in a row. That it got to the point that I would go to sleep like at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and I would sleep for like 2, 3 hours because I didn't want that to keep happening to me. It got to the point that I was not even sleeping at all through the days because I was so fucking scared of that happening over like every single night. So then it kind of stopped, and then I kept watching scary shit, and nothing ever really happened. Anyways, time goes on, and then when I'm 21, that's when I moved out from my mom's. And before I moved out to these apartments in TJ, and I was gonna live on myself on my own. And before moving to those apartments in TJ, those apartments belong to a tío of mine, but there's been different people that died in those apartments. So I knew that there had been different people que se murieron ahí, but I still wanted to go freaking live on my own. So I said, fuck it, I'm still gonna go, and I don't care si alguien se murió o no se murió. So I know there was 3 different people, but the worst one that I knew of was this guy que I think he was Árabe. I don't know, but he was in Mexican. He was like from somewhere else. So this guy era Árabe, and he was like a taxi driver, and he had a girlfriend, but they were like the typical toxic relationship. So they would always argue, and the neighbors were like, oh my gosh, like these people again with their freaking arguments. So they wouldn't really like pay attention to them. So I guess it turns out that one day the Árabe guy had a best friend. So him and like the Árabe and the girlfriend were getting into a whole ass argument because the Árabe found out that the friend and the girlfriend were having a thing. So the girlfriend was cheating on the Árabe.
Oh, damn.
So I don't know how things escalated, but I guess it turned out that the girlfriend and the friend murdered the Árabe in the apartment.
In those apartments?
Yes.
Wow.
So they murdered the Árabe in the apartment. I don't know exactly like if the Árabe was, because all of those apartments were 2 rooms. Obviously the kitchen, the dining room, the living room. So the living room, the living room, dining, and the kitchen were all like a straight shot. Like everything was like an open concept. And then every apartment had 2 rooms, a laundry room and a bathroom. So I don't know si al Árabe lo dejaron en uno de los cuartos, in the laundry or in the bathroom. But long story short, anyways, the Árabe gets killed in one part of the apartment. And then rent day comes around. So my tío would go to TJ and collect the rentas. And the neighbors are like, oh, where's the Árabe? Because we haven't seen him. Like, last thing we knew was that he was getting into a whole ass argument with the girlfriend and the guy friend. And then that was pretty much it. So, I have a cousin that lives over there too. And he's like my tío's like ayudante in the apartments. So my tío told my cousin, grab a ladder, because every apartment, I used to live on the 2nd floor, and all those apartments had a balcony that faced the street. So my tío told my cousin, grab a ladder y súbete por el balcony y métete, because the sliding doors, Even if you were to put the lock on, you could open it like that. So I guess my primo put a ladder by the balcony and he went up there, and then he was like, well, let me see if he's here. And he was the one that found the out of it did. So then it was this whole chaos, and then they had to call what's up? Oh, no, oh my gosh. Having a brain fart right now. I don't know, La Morgue, I don't know who they called, but they called whoever had to take care of that. And then I guess the neighbors gave a statement of what they heard. And that was pretty much it. So I knew that story because my tío told my dad.
But you knew you knew that story before you moved out
I
over
knew
there?
that story before I moved in, dude. So even my dad didn't want me to move out. My dad never wanted me to move out to TJ. And he had told me that story because before I even told him that I wanted to move to TJ, I feel like he told me that so para que me diera miedo y no me quisiera ir. So I remember him telling me that, and I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, it happened. And then months later, that's when I talked to my tío, and I told him that I wanted to go live over there, and he said, okay, like, that's fine with me. But my tío, till this day, he never told me any of that. I guess he just assumed my dad told me. So my dad tells me the story. I was just kind of like, whatever. And, okay, time goes by. I tell my tío that I want to go live over there, and he said, yeah, it's fine. So I was going to move in over there the 1st of November. And I remember a couple months before that, like, the whole out of it thing was in the back of my head. And I told myself, like, you need to stop watching scary shit. Because I just felt that if I went to live over there and I started watching that type of stuff, I didn't want to attract something. And I kept telling myself, no, you're going to stop watching scary shit, like, from now on. And I did. I stopped watching it. I mean, I would watch stuff on TV, pero nunca miraba nada de miedo or like The Nun or The Conjuring, none of that. And even if I were to go to the movies, I would never watch anything like that. So I was out there where I lived in that apartment for, I want to say it was like 2 years, but nothing ever happened to me. But so the out of it was one person that died there. The second one, I don't know where he died. And the third one got killed in the parking lot structure. So I don't know if you remember how the parking lot was. Like, había on a staircase.
Yeah.
So in total, by the point that I moved in, there was 3 people that had died there. The Arabe, there was another one. I don't remember that story. And then the third guy, he got shot in the parking lot. And I guess they never really knew why he got shot. But it could have been 2 things, because andaba en malos pasos. That was one thing. Or because he was dating some girl that was married. So they don't know si el que llegó por él was the husband, or if it was somebody that what happened? I think you're just gonna have to shut off that camera, babe.
Yeah. Okay. Sigo.
So they didn't know if the third guy, if it was the husband of the girl he was dating that was married, or if it was porque andaba en malos pasos. But the point is that he got shot in the parking lot. So before I moved in, I started watching all scary shit. And I remember the first day that we took my stuff upstairs, we unloaded everything, and the whole apartment would hella echo. Y en la noche se prendía y se apagaba, like, it was like an autopilot, el boiler, y se escuchaba like choo. Like, it was like a weird ass noise, and I would get freaked out because I didn't have any furniture other than my room. And in the apartment itself, I never felt anything. But when I would go home, I would get over there like at midnight. And if I stayed in the car and if I was on my phone, I always felt like the parking lot, if somebody was watching me. Like, you know that feeling when somebody's watching you and you turn around and they're like staring at you? I always felt that. And I would like be on my phone and I would be doing something, and I couldn't stay in the car for that long because I just kept feeling that somebody would keep watching me. So at the end of the day, me daba más miedo estar en el pinche parking lot que estar en el apartment.
But no, you never experienced anything or anything?
No, I
like
never
that?
saw anything. I never heard anything. But I guess the part that I'm skipping is that the first day that we moved in, Leslie and Valeria were with me, and they were helping me clean up and unpack everything and put my bed together. And I remember my mom had given me a bottle, una botella de esas con agua bendita. And she said, here, take it. And she's like, ya sabes para qué es. And I just laughed and I was like, okay, whatever. And I took it. So I remember at that point when we were inside the apartment, it was the three of us by ourselves and we were picking up and we were listening to music. And both the three of us were standing in a circle and we were like all grabbing hands. And then we all started praying. And we were praying for the Árabe guy. And we were just, each one of us like took a little bit of the holy water and we were spreading it all throughout the apartment. So that's what we did on the first day. And even after that, like sometimes a veces yo le prendí una vela. I don't know if that's good or bad. Or I would like also do the holy water like a veces de vez en cuando. But in the apartment, I never felt, I never saw anything. I never heard anything. None of that. But donde sí me daba miedo era en el parking lot.
Okay. But before you went into that apartment thing, you were saying that you were experiencing, or you had experienced in the past.
Sleep paralysis?
Yeah, sleep paralysis. Did that ever stop or did it continue or no?
Okay, so I was getting sleep paralysis for about a week back to back. And then it stopped.
Okay.
And then when I was in the apartment, I never got it.
So
and I was in the apartment for 2 years.
So ever since then, you've never felt it again?
I don't recall. No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. And so so you never really experienced anything, even at a place that there is, I guess, those tragedies, right? What makes you think that those type of entities or ghosts or things like that or paranormal activities do exist? Have you ever experienced anything like that?
Well, I guess we can hop into the whole podcast thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's do that. So let's go back to that podcast, right, that we had. So tell us what that guest told us. Talk to us a little bit about what she said before we started the podcast, and then talk to us about your experience as when we were recording that podcast, right? Because you weren't part of that podcast. You were just...
I was behind the scenes.
Yeah, you were behind the scenes helping us out. So talk to us about that.
So basically, before we started that podcast, which I don't know if Angel can link it onto this one, but you guys can watch it. She started telling us... I almost feel like saying her name, but I don't want to say her name. She started telling us like, oh, this is a warning for you guys. So if you guys feel like your body is tingling, legs, arms, anything is tingling, or it gets numb, or if you feel like a lot of, I think the other one was pressure. It was tingling, numb, pressure, or I think that was it. I don't recall something else, but I think it was those three things. You guys have to let me know because, like, something's going on. So at that point, Angel and his friend at that time, they were doing the podcast together, and they were both talking to her, and I was behind the scenes, and I was in a chair, and I was literally sitting like this, and she's talking, and everything starts out fine, and then all of a sudden, I remember, like, I started going like this con mi pie, like, because I feel like when I get anxious, I do this, like, unconsciously, and then sometimes I catch myself doing it. I started going like this, and then all of a sudden, like, las llamas de los dedos se me empezaron a poner como tingly. Como cuando te sientas y que se te empiezan a dormir. That's how I started feeling the fingertips. And then it became my hands. And a lot of you guys don't know this, but over, like, almost 2 years ago, I injured this hand. And all of a sudden, dude, I started feeling the same freaking symptoms that I would feel when I first got it injured. They all started to come back, like, at once. So it started with this arm, and I remember, like, at this point, I'm going like this. My hands feel tingly, but I don't want to say anything because I didn't want to pause you guys from the freaking podcast. So my leg is going like this. My hands are tingly. All of a sudden, it starts going up all the way to my shoulder. When it got to my shoulder, I was like, oh, fuck no. And she kept staring back at me. She kept asking me, like, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? Which at this point, now thinking about it, she knew that I was not okay, but she was just kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Like, tell me if there's something that's bugging you. But I didn't want to stop them. So I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. And all of a sudden, I feel como si alguien hubiera puesto sus dos manos así y se me hubiera colgado del shoulder. Like, I felt a lot of pressure on my freaking shoulder. And I was like, dude, like, this is... In my head, I was like, dude, this is not normal. Like, there's no way this shit is happening right now. And I felt everything go up to my right side to my shoulder. And then I start feeling the exact same thing on my left side. So at this point, I'm like moving freaking spots. I'm like stretching my legs. I'm like stretching up, stretching to the sides. And Angel's like looking at me, almost wondering if there's something going on. And he's just giving me a look. And I'm just like staring at him like, no, I'm okay. She kept asking me, oh, are you okay? Like, is there something bugging you? And I kept saying, no, I'm fine. It got so freaking uncomfortable that I almost felt like I really wanted to get out from the chair and just walk away because that's how uncomfortable I got. But I told myself, I was like, nope, you're freaking staying here. And I don't know if doing that challenged whatever the heck was around because it just got worse. And I remember that's when Ricardo called and the podcast got paused or got ended before they were supposed to end it. And I don't know, I feel like after the podcast ended, I just felt so freaking heavy. Like, I just knew there was just something that was not right. And I remember she had said that she said something along the lines that we had to like cleanse ourselves with the sage, because I have sage there. And she told us that we had to cleanse ourselves with the sage, and that if there was something around, it wasn't going to stick around, because they look for her since they know that she has that don, or that she's capable of doing that.
Yeah, but let's explain why all of that happened, right? So for this guest that stopped by, the reason why Chelo was experiencing all of these different things was because since she sees this and she experiences this all the time, right? But what she told us is that since she's able to see these entities, right?
They latch onto her.
As soon as they see that she can see them, they want to catch her attention, right?
Yeah.
Because they want to be able to
communicate with her.
They want to be able to communicate with her, and they want to tell her to say something to their families, like, hey, you know what, like, you know, they want her attention. They want, hey, please tell this message to my family member, so on and so forth. But since she was ignoring them, something that she also mentioned, that they were going to go to not necessarily the weakest person, but the person that was more, I guess, sensitive to that, right?
Sensitive or vulnerable. I don't know, something along those lines.
Yeah, vulnerable to that, right? So the person that they went after, it was Chelo, right? Pretty much to make Chelo so uncomfortable that Chelo pretty much told the guest, hey, you know what, this is happening. That way they can finally get her attention, right? Mm-hmm. But since Chelo never really said that until we actually ended the podcast, she was like, you know what, yeah, that's when they told us, hey, make sure that you cleanse yourself, make sure that you do this. And man, even right now, I'm getting the
fucking chills, dude. I don't even like talking about this shit.
Fuck that.
So, okay, the freaking podcast ended, and she told us that we had to cleanse ourselves with the sage, which we freaking did right away. And we freaking even sage Teddy. And dude, that freaking night was fucking intense because Angel and I think it was like a summer night. Or I don't know if it was fall. I don't even remember. But the point is that we had the windows open in the fucking room. Parecía que estaba hirviendo. Estaba bien pinche caliente. And I don't know, like, I couldn't go to sleep. Angel couldn't freaking sleep. We were just both fucking tossing and turning, asking ourselves if we were still awake.
Yeah.
And it was just so freaking intense. And Angel always asks me, like, oh, why are you scared now? Or why do you not like watching scary stuff? Because even up until that point, I was watching Or when I would clean, I was hearing all these like scary stories podcasts because I like listening to something in the background. So I would listen to them, or I would be watching videos. Not that necessarily I need to be watching movies, but I like hearing it, like just to have it in the background and being entertained by something. And I told Angel, I was like, dude, because never before had I literally been fucking attacked by something. One thing is you being attacked by somebody, like physical form, because you can see him and you can do something. But when you cannot see what the fuck is attacking you, like that gets fucking scary. And to add to that, after that, I stopped watching, or not watching, but listening to those freaking scary podcasts, right? And then time goes on, and then ya pasó el tiempo, so I started listening to them again. And then I go to ayahuasca the second time, which is when I said about the aliens and all that stuff. And the second time that I go to ayahuasca, I literally get freaking told. They told me, oh, a nosotros sabemos que a ti te gusta mirar esos podcasts o esos lo que escuchas de miedo. And in my head, I was like, dude, like, how the fuck do you know that I like watching that shit or listening to that? Y me dijeron, nosotros sabemos que tú piensas que no pasa nada solamente porque lo estás escuchando, pero tú eres muy sensible a esas cosas que a ti como que se me cargaban. Y por eso, and that's why you shouldn't freaking be listening to that type of content or those scary stories or watching, listening or whatever. Because at the beginning, I would just think like, oh.
But who told you this?
One of the weird beings in ayahuasca.
They told you in Spanish?
Yeah, they told me in Spanish.
What?
Like, nosotros sabemos que te gusta mirar esas cosas de miedo o escuchar eso cuando limpias o cuando haces algo, pero tú tienes que tener cuidado porque tú eres muy sensible a esas cosas. So por eso no lo tienes que escuchar. And when they fucking told me that, I was like, oh, hell no, dude. Like, the whole podcast thing came back to my mind, and I was like, dude, I don't want to fucking be feeling that way anymore. And ever since then, I just freaking try to avoid that.
Yeah.
Because I got scared.
Yeah, and you know what? That's something that I personally don't like watching any of that stuff, because whenever you're done watching a scary movie or whatever the case is, right? Even if it's just an old basic movie like... For instance, you have the shirt right now of Halloween, right? As soon as you're done watching a movie of that horror movie, as soon as you're done watching it, now even to go to the kitchen, you want to turn on the light.
Yeah,
right?
You want to fucking be turning every light in the house.
Yeah, it gets you to the point that you're uncomfortable, right? And to believe it or not, just like you got told, it's all that energy. It's energy and vibes, all of that is everything.
Dude, like,
right?
You're opening a fucking portal that you probably don't even freaking see physically, but hell no.
Dude, they're gonna drag. Oh, hell no. They're gonna drag you. Oh, hell no.
Shut up.
Chilla really is that ultimate chick. Like,
just shut the fuck up. You're gonna get dragged at night watch for making fun of me.
But yeah, dude, like... And as of right now, are you still watching any of that stuff or not really?
At times, I do listen to a podcast here and there, but I'm really selective on lo que dice, de qué se trata, más o menos. And then if I start listening and I'm like, oh, hell no, like, I don't want to be listening to this, then I'll switch it up.
Yeah.
But I feel that it had to get to the point of the whole podcast thing for me to really consider watching and listening to that type of shit, because and you know me, dude, like, I'm no soy miedosa así. Like, if you tell me to go somewhere or do something, I'm gonna be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring back that guest, right, especially for Halloween or for the month of October. I wanted to bring that guest back.
No, you're not, dude. I'm telling you right now, you're not. Yeah,
no, exactly, right? Even look at Chelo's response to that. It affected her so much that she don't want that. And for her to even feel that way, it's like, nah, I don't want to even bring that along to that energy around, even though that nothing ever happened, knock on wood, right? But at the same time, it's for me, if Chelo's feeling that way, I don't even want to feel anything that she experienced at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just because you didn't get attacked. That's why you're
Now, let me ask you this. Aside from those experiences, there's also been other experiences that have happened at your family's house, right?
Oh, my grandma's house?
Yeah, in TJ, right?
Yeah.
Bring down the microphone a little.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you want me to talk about that?
Yeah, a little bit. Just that way we can touch base on that. And then we're already like at 40 minutes. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So my grandma, my mom's mom, she has a house in TJ that she's had for years. And let me tell you guys a little background story to that so you guys can get the point or get more info. So my grandma has a house right here. My grandma had 5 kids. Her youngest one, when he was around my age, he passed away. And I don't know if it was his decision or my grandma's decision, but one of them decided, or one of them told the other, I think it was his, that que no quería que lo enterraran, quería que lo incineraran. So put his ashes in the box.
So he wanted what again?
Que lo incineraran. I think that's the correct word in Spanish.
But in English.
Cremated.
Oh, so he wanted to get cremated.
Yeah, not buried.
Okay.
So my grandma, my mom's mom, she has a house in TJ and she's lived there for years. And my grandma had 5 kids. And the youngest one, it was a he. When he was around my age, he was 26, 27. That's when he passed away. This was in like 2000 when he passed away. So it's been like 23 years. So he passed away then. But I believe it was him that had told my grandma that he wanted to get cremated and not buried at the cemetery. So my grandma, all these years, she's had his ashes in the house.
Okay.
And okay, so she's had his ashes all these years. And I guess the first one that started not necessarily seeing things, but things started happening to her was my tia Rosie that lived with my grandma. Because at this point when my tío passed away, it was my grandma, my tia Rosie, and then my tío that passed away. They were all living in the same house. So my grandma's house is a 2-story house. And when you go upstairs, there's 3 rooms and a bathroom that's never been an actual like functioning bathroom. And my tia and my tío, they were literally like door to door. So my tia's room was right here in the hallway, and then my tío's was right across from her door. So I guess when he passed away, this one time, like the recorder went off, because this is when they've had landlines. So I guess this one time it was like super late, almost midnight, and there was a phone call that came in, and instead, for some weird reason, instead of that person leaving a voicemail, the voicemail that played was an old voicemail that my tío had left before he passed away.
That's insane.
So instead of you calling me like, oh, Chelo, this and that, instead of you talking and leaving that voicemail, so it was his old voicemail that was playing.
That's crazy.
So my tia got tripped out. And then I also know that around the same time that all of that was happening, my tia and my tío, they were very, I don't know how to say this word in English, but I'm bien carrelludos.
Yeah, they used to joke around a
Yeah,
lot.
they used to joke around a lot. So they were always doing stuff to each other. And this one time that my tia was sleeping, somebody freaking pulled her blanket at night. So she just was getting freaked out all the time.
Like literally, they pulled the blanket
off from her.
Dang, well, what'd she say? Or
I don't remember what she said, but I remember her telling us that she got the freaking blanket pulled. And the first person that came to mind, it was my tío that had just passed away.
Because they would always play around
like that. Yes, because they would always play around like that. So my tia basically told him like, oh, you're not here anymore. I don't want to be playing. Ahora sí, I don't want to be playing around with you like that. So like, stop doing that to me because I'm not going to do it to you. And then that ended up happening to her.
But let me ask you this. Before your tío passed away, was there any sort of activity that happened like this before that or no?
Okay, so I guess yes.
So even before your uncle passed away, there was already activity?
Yes, but let me tell you why. Because before my tío passed away, my grandpa, which is my mom's dad, he passed away in 99. And then months later, my tío passed away. So they passed away within months of each other. And I remember my grandma saying that when around the time that my grandpa passed away, which he was the one that died first.
But he passed away there.
No, he passed away not in my grandma's house, but in his house that was a couple houses down from my grandma's,
Oh,
but in the
okay.
same block.
Gotcha.
But let me get to that right now. So when my grandpa passed away, I remember my grandma. This is when she was still okay and she didn't have dementia. She would say that when around the time that he passed away, she would be in the kitchen or she would be somewhere, and then she would come back and then stuff would be moved around.
Oh, what the heck?
So by this point, my grandpa had already passed away, and she would get mad and she would say, "Oh, ya sé que eres tú," and this and that, like stop fucking around with me, basically. And then months later, that's when my tío passes away. And then when my tío passes away, that's when all of that shit starts happening to my tía, which is the one that they both used to joke around with. But okay, so my grandma's house is right here, and then 3 houses down or 4 houses down is the house of my mom's great grandpa, which he got murdered there. And then the house next to that is where my abuelito passed away. So all these 3 houses are in the same block.
Damn.
And they all belong like to my grandma. So that happened at my grandma's, right? And then I don't know how old my mom was when her grandpa passed away or got murdered. But I don't know, she might have been in her teens probably. And then my grandpa passed away in his patio in his house. So if you think about it, imagine all these freaking people. And that's just like of our family. I don't even know of all the neighbors or before that. All this freaking like stuck energy that's there from people passing away under natural circumstances or like somebody that got murdered or anything like that. Imagine all that energy that's just stuck right there.
Yeah.
So.
And up to this date, there's still activity going on?
Well, to what I know right now, it stopped already.
Oh, it stopped? I thought just recently they were telling, I think your mom or
the
something.
thing que tronó?
Yeah, that something went off. Or what happened exactly?
So, my grandma's house, which is, my grandma's house, that's where my tío used to scare my tía and all that. So, my tía recently, that same tía went to live back to that house. And my grandma's house has always been so freaking cold. Like, probably, it's always like at a 60 degrees. It just feels cold in there, either summertime or wintertime. It's always fucking cold. And I remember her saying that she would get scared all the time that she would go over there. And I guess she has a friend that can see stuff too. And one of the times her friend went over with her to the house. And as soon as she stepped inside, she said, "No, I'm not going in there. Like, there's something in here." But keep in mind that my grandma hasn't been living there for a couple of years now. And they would go over there, but just to clean the house, and then they would bounce out. It's not like somebody's actually living there.
Yeah.
So her friend told her, like, "No, there's something in here. I don't want to be here." So I don't know if she actually stayed inside or she waited for my tia outside.
That's crazy.
And then one of my cousin's friends or something along those lines, she went over and she was with my cousin, and she told, I don't know if she told my cousin or she told the same tia that she heard something upstairs. So there's just been like a lot of little things like that. And then my tia, she decided to do kind of like a limpia. And she grabbed, I don't know what hierba it was, but it was a herb, una hierba. And she was like burning it and she was passing it around the house. And I don't know where she got, or I don't know what she was saying. But the point is that those little things were like, kind of like if you get sage and you put it like in the little bowl. And el bowl tronó. Like it shattered on her. When, I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if she was actually saying something like a prayer and it shattered. Or if she was walking through a certain section in the house and then the freaking bowl just shattered on her. But, I mean, that was a couple months ago, the bowl thing. And then my other tia did a limpia at my grandpa's house where he passed away. And I know this for my cousin, the one that went with us to the trip, that my tia was saying a prayer for my grandpa and my tío. And as soon as she said their names, a ella whatever she had on her, that tronó, that like not exploded, pero también le tronó a ella. So there's just been things like that. But I know that my grandma's house is like back to normal already. But I haven't been over there in forever. I don't know. It's been probably like almost 4 years.
But didn't somebody say that, or they recommended to remove the ashes from there?
Who said that? So obviously the ashes are there because my grandma wanted him to be with her, but my grandma's not living there anymore, and she's always said that the day that she passes away, she wants the ashes with her. So I feel like that's why they've been holding on to the ashes, and then they haven't put him somewhere else, which they have looked into putting them somewhere else, but they haven't. And at this point, since they already did a cleanse, I don't know if they took like a padre or something, but I know they did like a more deeper cleanse in my grandma's house, and everything feels and looks back to normal, then I don't think they're gonna take him away. But I know for a fact that the day that my grandma passes away, they're gonna put him with her.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like, especially if the ashes are at the house, I feel it's still stuck energy, left behind.
Yeah, because I had even looked it up, and it said something that when you have somebody's ashes in your house, it brings like a lot of problems or a lot of depression, something along those lines, and that it's not good for like energetically, y que también no los dejas descansar if you have them there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I personally wouldn't want the ashes around the house. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like their body's there in a sense.
What if I want to be here though?
No mas. No, don't even say that. Knock on wood, man.
Cool.
But
Pull your feet.
yeah, so guys, this was just an intro to pretty much a few different stories that people can share for Halloween. Some paranormal stories. Obviously, maybe the whole episode is not going to be based on that. Like I mentioned at the beginning, not a lot of people want to share their experiences, or at least I haven't reached the people that actually want to share their experiences. Before we end this podcast, babe, do you want to mention anything?
The content creating thing?
Oh yeah, go ahead and do that. Or say that.
No, you do
You want me to
No,
say
you
that?
do it.
All right. So if you guys follow us on Instagram or TikTok, we just announced that we're going to be taking on a few clients. As a matter of fact, as we were shooting this podcast, I just received a message that somebody's actually going to be our first client right now. So what we're going to be doing is, if you have a podcast, if you want to start a podcast, or if you need help with your reels, the TikToks that you share through Instagram and all those different platforms, the short form content, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be taking a few clients and we're going to be editing those clips for them. And just pretty much that way, all you have to worry about is just posting. At the end of the day, you send us your raw clips. Even if you have mistakes in there, just send it our way. We'll clip them out. We'll put the captions and pretty much everything that I have currently on the Nomas podcast page. You guys can see that as examples, and we'll be able to do those type of content for your own content. That way, you don't have to worry about editing. You just pretty much receive it, and then it's ready to post. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Aside from that, another news is that on the last episode with Daniel Luna, we mentioned that whenever we reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and 1,000 followers on Instagram, Daniel Luna and myself, we were going to go live and we were going to be pretty much raffling away the corrido to a lucky winner, whoever can show us that they're subscribed to the channel and following Daniel's Instagram and the Nomas podcast Instagram. The Instagram for Nomas podcast already surpassed the 1,000 subscribers. There you go.
Did TikTok pass the 1,000 already?
Yeah, TikTok is like at 2,000, I think.
Okay, TikTok.
So currently on the Nomas podcast Instagram page is at 1,010 followers. So we're doing pretty good on that. For this channel, for the YouTube channel, we're currently at, let me check just 1 second. We're currently at 553, so we're a little bit more than halfway through. We still need quite a lot, But if this episode reached you and you're listening to this, please subscribe to the channel. It would help us out tremendously. Right now, we're pretty much spending our own time. We're investing money into this, and we're getting no money out of this at all. So if there's a way for you guys to help us out, is by subscribing to the channel, leaving a like, a comment, tell us what you guys like, what you guys didn't like, what we can improve on, and just leave something positive. That way we can continue posting this type of content. Anything else, babe?
No, I think that should be it.
Yeah. And if you're somebody that has a business, maybe clothing line, any product that you guys want to promote here, if you guys want to, send us something, go ahead and send us a message through the Nomas podcast page and let us know. And we'll be more than welcome to pretty much work with you guys in whatever sense. Cool. Any final words, babe?
I feel like for my experience, just be conscious of what you guys watch and what you guys listen, because you never know if you're opening something, or we know somebody, I'm not going to say names, but they're related to Angel, and a lot of creepy, spooky shit happens to that person. But yet again, this person keeps going to places that are haunted and all that crap. So, I mean, how are you going to say, oh, I don't want to be experiencing this anymore, but you keep doing all of the shit that you're not supposed to be doing? So,
Right, exactly.
Just be careful.
Yeah, everything is energy at the end of the day,
yes,
right?
We're all energy.
Yeah, it's all energy. Even the people you're around, if they have a bad energy or whatnot, it's going to affect you one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Right, babe?
Yes, sir.
All right, like I always like to say, it's a greater risk not taking a risk. Till next time.